Gotta start the thing, and all right, everyone, welcome to another wonderful episode of Playconomy. I am one of your lovely hosts, Rhinosaurus Rex. I'm joined always by the illustrious Beccatron. Thank you all for hopping in today. And today we figured it out. We are on YouTube. Hey!
Yes.
No more 48-hour hold. No more YouTube overlords telling us we're not good enough. We have made it to the big leagues, I would say. Thanks for hopping in here. Just real quick, we want to go through some housekeeping notes. As always, we have a lot of stuff coming up on the horizon for Blockworks, for Playconomy, for Becca, and everything that she's doing. So first and foremost, I want to put it out there again. If you are going to be in New York around the September region, which is roughly 1 month away. I always check my watch that isn't on my hand for a date and time calendar. But we are putting on the Digital Asset Summit in New York. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. People are going to be dressed in suit and ties for a crypto event, which is definitely not the normal. But
are they though? Are they?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I think that's false advertising.
Yeah, I mean, there's always like 3 or 4 guys that are wearing like "fuck fiat money" or whatever on their shirts. But there's more ties than not ties, which is which is a step.
Okay.
So gonna be for institutions, gonna be for fun times. We're gonna have a fun time there. Check it out. Go to blockworks.com or .co and make sure to go to the events tab so you can buy your tickets there. The other plug is tomorrow. I'm going to be on with Fireblocks and Animoca Brands and Immutable talking about the financial backbone of the GameFi economy. Come give us a listen. It's going to be a YouTube, not on Playconomy, although I will be pumping Playconomy hard. Don't worry.
Cheating.
I know.
Cheating
That'll be
shame.
the other thing going on, and that is tomorrow. And I think that's also at 11. That's a great. No, that one's at 12 Eastern. And then Becca, I know you have a few things going on as well.
I do.
Don't you have NFT something?
Oh yeah. I mean NFT NYC London, November 3rd to the 4th.
Okay.
I guess like slide into my DMs if you want to speak on gaming or
This
anything
is your chance.
art related.
She just said slide into her GM or her DMs. All right, everyone, this is your chance.
My DMs.
The DMs, and then Darth, Aaron. Anything that's going on, any housekeeping that you want to announce to the Play Economy audience, this is your opportunity. What do you got going on?
Yeah, it's a little too early in the morning Pacific time for housekeeping on my end. So for the most part, just happy to be here. And yeah, thank you both for having me.
Yeah, well, cool. Well, thanks for hopping in. Real quick, the Blockworks and Playconomy audience has kind of gotten a little introduction to crypto unicorns before, but tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about crypto unicorns, and then we can get into the fun stuff, which is everything that you guys have coming out right now.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's see. I guess intro to myself. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Laguna Games, and we are the creators of Crypto Unicorns, which is I like to call it a blockchain-based game, live now today on Polygon.
That's a really funny way. It's a blockchain-based game. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. But the fact that it's live is like,
just people get.
Yeah, there's Reddit. I know I've seen many a Reddit thread on the NFT aspect of video games, so I understand why you would say it's a blockchain-based game versus a game with NFTs. So
I've been doing a bunch of one-on-ones with my team, and a lot of them have asked, like, what do you tell your parents you do? How do you explain what you do? And I said, well, I've been doing this a long time, so it's always been a little difficult. But it's all, for me, the easiest way to explain it is I'm building a digital, Pokemon game, right?
Yeah.
People actually own their assets. And usually that works. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I can trade these things. Yeah. Nice. You can breed them.
Yeah. You can breed them.
Yeah.
Totally breedable.
That's cool. But you guys had some pretty big announcements that came out to the Crypto Unicorn community on Thursday. But why don't you introduce, what are we going to be talking about today? I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. I guess I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Oh, yeah. Pull that up.
Just for fun.
Ryan's probably going to make sound effects because it's not quite a game, but like it could be a game.
Yeah. So
like a game. Yeah.
And is that actually, so is that your like visage in Cuphead like artwork? Is that right?
Yeah, I got that on Etsy. There was a digital artist that was doing these for, it wasn't terribly expensive, and I really just love that Cuphead kind of style. That is
really super cool.
Style, so
love it. Well, cool.
And it's it's prettier than I am, so I figured we'd put that out there.
It's good for the metaverse. Everyone needs their metaverse visage to happen, so that's a good one.
I've been thinking about switching it out for my favorite corn, but I have a tough time of choosing in particular amongst the cloud class. So maybe one day when I can make a decision on that front.
Tough decisions.
I know, tough decisions. Maybe we'll ask you at the end once we go through this where you fall in one way or the other. Maybe this is the day and time that you kind of fall into that visage. Well, sure. Cool. So I'm very excited to kind of dig in. You have been putting this together now for a couple months, really figuring out the future of where Crypto Unicorns is going to go, kind of what the big roadmap is, the plan, and kind of, I don't know, it's exciting that we get to tell the public outside of the Crypto Unicorns universe what is happening, and just, I don't know, I would love to dig into like why you're making certain decisions and stuff, as long as you're okay with me asking all these questions while we're going through this.
Yeah, definitely. Don't hesitate to kind of stop me, and we can deep dive on each of these. Cool. Some of them, there's a lot to talk about for sure.
Nice.
And one thing I wanna just interject really quickly for anyone who's listening or will listen to this, that Crypto Unicorns, and we kind of discussed this like before we went live, but has anecdotally been one of the few projects that has just consistently delivered value and updates and new things for community members, which is kind of why we got excited. It's always great to hear about projects that have been doing things well. And so that's why we wanted to do a deeper dive on Play Economy, because based on David Zastrow, one of our previous guests, who did a little plug of Crypto Unicorns and was just really impressed with what you guys have been doing, they were like, let's find out more. And so that's kind of the genesis for this conversation. So I just wanted to preface with that context.
Which is fun.
Sweet.
All right. Dig in, Aaron. Let's learn about the future of Crypto Unicorns today.
No, I'm pumped. Love the energy this morning. It's matching the coffee and the caffeine.
Good. Yeah, we want to be twitchy. We want to be a little caffeined out. Yeah.
Sure. That's fantastic.
All right.
Generally, as a starting point, last Thursday, August 11th, was literally the 1-year anniversary of the date we pivoted from building a Forex strategy MMO for WB into the Web3 kind of game space. So
what a shift.
Like I was kind of telling our community, a big part of this is like a kind of a celebration of what has happened in a year. Worth of time. And I think, despite speed bumps along the way and some madness, we've really pulled off some pretty incredible stuff. So quick highlights, over 2,200 ETH in primary sales, a little over 18,000 ETH in secondary volume now. which I'm really proud of. We have obviously accrued a good chunk of Ethereum into the treasury, but there's obviously been an enormous amount of secondary trading, which is something that to me marks a successful project and IP. Through that, we've become one of the top games on Polygon, and as of last week, we kind of were creeping up on the top 100 NFT projects of all time across all chains.
Cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
No small order.
Yeah. One day at a time. And we're just really getting started. I mean, for an L2 project, we've been Polygon first from the beginning. We've never done Ethereum mainnet sales. I'm very, very proud of those metrics, and it seems to speak to a lot of potential for the future. This was something I reinforced to our community last week. I think it's it's important to cover quickly. One is we care very deeply about these 4 kind of principles, and here's how we think about the NFT space. And a big part of it is listen, last year, 2021 was a very interesting, very exciting time in which NFTs kind of came on to became a part of the zeitgeist. But we're really just kind of scratching the surface of what's possible. So kind of from the beginning, we focused on truly on-chain decentralized ownership. So every single NFT that people have is printed to Arweave when it is created. So we print all of the metadata and the image itself to the permaweb. And we've always used Chainlink for randomness. So you're not kind of reaching out to our server to produce the randomness necessary to play the game and to do the cool things like breeding and evolution. From the beginning, we've had full commercial rights. There's certainly been a lot of debates around that. Would be happy to chat more about that later in the presentation. But we think it's very important to give full commercial rights and not change those rights.
Yep.
Further to that point, we're releasing the 3D models and rigs so you can connect your wallet and actually get your corn. I'm very, very excited to see what the community kind of comes up with. That's been a heavily requested feature, and there's very little at this point kind of holding us back from that. So part of the Unighachi project is going to make that possible.
Little spoiler alert on that note. That's pretty cool now.
Yeah, I would love to see some fan films, especially after our CGI trailer launches here soon. I think people are going to see there's really a deep kind of rich IP to pull from and to build off of.
We'd love to see most of the IP or most of the films that come out of this. I'm sure there's going to be some deep dark web player out there that has very specific needs, but we're here for you as well. No, there's no shaming.
UGC is UGC.
You own the rights, all right? No. Full commercial rights, but 99% will share with the rest of the community for sure.
Certainly within our guidelines and the Discord constitution.
Correct.
And lastly, I like to think of NFTs is very much this extendable platform, right? The idea is you start with this immutable base layer, and over time you can layer things in. I think artificial intelligence is one of the more interesting avenues available to players in the space. And then I also think adding things like UGC, bringing provenance from the game itself on chain. So, hey, this unicorn won XYZ Triple Crown tournament, of madness. Those kind of things we think are really what you need to layer in over time to be sustainable.
So I know I want to dig in more on a lot of the more details, but I'm just super curious, from the history, right? You said a year ago, last Thursday, you shifted from building a game for WB, a 4X, and you shifted completely to doing this. I don't know how much you've gone into this before, but what prompted that shift? Why, were you getting funding from WB to do this as well? I'm just super curious. That's a huge decision to make that jump, and I'm just curious, where that came from, why you were thinking that, and what it's been like since then.
It's been pure madness.
Right.
It's been pure madness. The way I like to explain it is early in 2021, there were kind of 3 things that came together. The first was WB began to look at acquiring our team because we were working on a very important IP for them. And, they're kind of strategically moving in a direction where they're only going to work and publish their own IP. And they obviously want the studios kind of under their...
Are you allowed to say what that IP was or no?
Yeah, it was the House of the Dragon.
No way.
Yeah, it was a really very cool IP to get to work on. And
And you were building mobile games for them. Like,
yeah, to kind of, they have had a very successful Game of Thrones Conquest as a 4X strategy MMO that's been, I think 600-700 million in revenue at this point. Been very successful, and they were looking at us as a team that could deliver on kind of a next gen experience. Above and beyond what the Conquest game is, which is a very, very simple kind of visual 4X strategy game. But yeah, it was a heck of a transition. I mean, it was something that when WB kind of leaned in, it was very clear that that really wasn't going to be an opportunity we were going to be very excited about. We didn't kind of go through the pain of rebooting this company and trying to keep a bunch of the team together to just kind of get jobs at WB. So while there was some trepidation and kind of shifting into this new space.
You're about to get WB money, and then you're like, nah, we should just do this crypto thing instead.
It really shows that the team wanted to lean into something. And I mean, the reality is every mobile game dev is facing this choice right now.
I'm sure.
You cannot self-publish and succeed. You need a massive marketing budget. So you either deal with a publisher or you do work for hire. And, both choices are tough and a grind. And so a big part of convincing the team was like, hey, let's just get out of the red ocean of mobile. And we're in the bloodiest part of that in 4X strategy. And let's transition into the wild, wild west. And a lot of our team had been around during the early mobile days, particularly a lot of our senior team members. They got to see that mobile wave. And Axie Infinity last year exploding was the kind of proof point of like, hey, as game designers, we can all see that this is a bit of a runaway train without a ton of adjustments to their economy and system, but it is proving that there's something here, right?
That's cool.
So that was able to kind of, it took about 4 months, and I red pilled everybody to the
yeah. And then, and one other thing I want to ask too is like, how much game development had you done for the 4X strategy game, and then how much of that are you using for Crypto Unicorns, or did you start from like ground zero on that side of things as well?
We had originally gone to WB and gotten a publishing deal for our own IP, a title called Kingdoms Forever. That was an MMORPG that leveraged a lot of our underlying MMO map tech. So you could like construct a hero party of up to 5 heroes and send them out on a world map, and other players would actually see that hero party marching and could attack it in real time. And it was a very, very cool game. So we went paper to playable prototype in about 6 months. And WB said, cool, we like your tech, we like your art team, you guys are crazy on the design front, we like some of those ideas, you're going to go build House of the Dragon, we're not going to publish your game. So we kind of had to get over that ego hit, and we basically kicked off January of 2021 going paper to playable prototype for the House of the Dragon.
Interesting. Well, that's cool. Also, there's, I think the best question that's happened so far from the audience, how much for your hat right now, Jackie Ace, is there more Crypto Unicorn swag out there that people are waiting on the sidelines to get for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, LOL DeFi was our first partnership. I believe they have now closed shop, which is super, super unfortunate because these hats are awesome. So, Jackie, I don't know. It'll have to be at the first meetup, man. It's good to see you in here. But Brian Akakar, CMO, has a couple of exciting kind of merch partnerships on the horizon. So
good
soon
things.
enough,
Soon enough.
We will have access to more sweet swag.
That's really awesome. But that sounds like quite the shift, and I'm excited that you guys made the jump. I mean, it seems to have worked out really, really well for you, given everything, all the stats that we just looked into. So I'm just overall, I'm very excited for you. But it's always nice to hear everyone's story getting into this world, and like the decisions that they had to make, and like the trust that they had to put that it's all going to still be here in 6 or 12 months. So pretty cool.
Yeah, again, I think a lot of us saw early mobile, early free-to-play, saw the insane, intense amount of hate against free-to-play, and saw the end result of that, it now being kind of the largest revenue generator for the entire gaming industry, right? So I view a lot of where we're kind of currently at in the NFT game space is similar to that early mobile free-to-play. And like, okay, we kind of see where this is going.
It's a good bet, yeah.
So the next big thing that we started talking about last week is just the idea that we're leaning very heavily into UGC. I've been incredibly inspired by Forgotten Runes and Wizards cult. I think that that's just a really phenomenal project in the space, and we've seen that. There are people, I mean, it taps into this fan fiction and these mod communities and these things that have been a part of gaming really since the beginning. And so rather than us dictate world lore, we're going to work and run these lore generation events with our community to effectively generate our world history. And something I'm very excited about is kind of the unicorn versus shadowcorn conflict. And filling in the blanks around a lot of that. And then I've begun a number of conversations with groups in SoCal around both comics and a TV series. There's a lot of resonance with this incredible kind of IP that we have here, and a lot of interest in collaboration. So
I have a question for you just quickly on this topic, because obviously, what you touched upon, fan fiction and kind of modding and user generated content, like these are all like incredible kind of like tenets of what's possible. But how do you see that working when you're giving away full IP rights to different corn holders, as you said, because you got the unicorn, the shadow corn, there are many iterations of corns here. Like, how do you see that working? Do you kind of say, whoever puts forth will maybe they'll get a chance of inclusion, whoever's putting forth ideas? Like, how do you see that working?
Yeah, it's very interesting. In some of the conversations, and I really like this idea, you could have a studio, and I'm just throwing out words here. Yeah, Netflix. And Netflix shows up and says,
just throwing out words here. All right, just words.
We bought 50 corns and we bought 4 shadow corns. They have every right to build a series around them. And the only thing we would need to work out is obviously the license on the brand, which is owned by the foundation, which is governed by our DAO.
Yep.
Interesting.
And so, it's a really kind of, I'm not looking to use this as a way to necessarily generate a ton of revenue for the treasury. I want to find an avenue to like maximally spreading the IP globally.
Right.
Of course.
And so, but part of this too is also like potentially allowing players the opportunity to kind of do casting calls and get their own corns listed or put into the comics and into the TV series and stuff. And so I think kind of the combination of both is very interesting.
I have a question on that as well. And I don't know if either of you guys know the answer to it. It's not necessarily crypto related, but it's just more media, like Netflix related. What is like the average price that they pay for a show, right? Like, how much did they pay for, oh my God, what is the one with all the masks? Squid Game. Like, how much did they pay for Squid Game?
Yeah.
Like a couple $100,000. Like, so like for them, if they get enough characters and like an idea of lore, right? Or if you pitch that to them, like what will they pay on average? Is it millions or is it hundreds of thousands?
I have no idea. I think it's from the discussions we've had, it's very, very dependent, right?
Yeah,
and
on how big they're going.
If they're going to fund the show itself, right? And I think, again, that's much more exciting to me if they take all of these epic characters and build a really compelling CGI story that leans into stuff that was built from a UGC perspective. Like that to me is going to be way more exciting again than getting paid a ton to build the show itself.
What a crazy world though. If you are Netflix, right? You buy 50 corns, and then like the showstopper main corn, 5 years down the road, the show's over, they've done their finale, you sell that NFT back to the market, the price of that one NFT could potentially pay the initial down payment on all of the other unicorns and all that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. That's only like possible in Web3. That's just a cool little thing that I never thought of before.
Imagine selling Elsa from Frozen.
I know.
How many billionaire people they would have to buy that for their kid? But that's actually a good point about especially the corn, the kind of corn motif, right? Is like, although it, as you said, they're going to be like, there's probably like the 1% or more that's going to have like naughty corns, right? Like for the most part, like thematically, it lends itself more to like wholesome themes. But I was just watching, I was like, I took a 6 a.m. flight from LA yesterday.
Like one does.
Like one does.
Yeah.
I had to get back for a wedding. And so it was like the flight that all the parents had their kids on. So I was just like watching what all the kids were doing. One was playing a game, one was watching it was called B Movie, and I'm like, it's Jerry Seinfeld, Renee Zellweger, like
that's a classic.
John Goodman. I didn't know. I don't have kids, but I'm like the amount of money they must have invested in this movie based on the voice actors alone, right, and the production. Like I mean, it's a big business. Not that I want to talk about leveraging children for capitalistic gain, but
with this future media expansion, every corn holder out there, all right, it's gonna be like dancing. It's gonna be like dancing moms, all right. You got to get your kids out there. You got to get your corns out there, all right. Start training them, all right. Start putting on the makeup. They're young, but they're talented. Yeah, for sure. This is going to be a big, maybe there's even like an offshoot. It's like the making of, and you show the process of getting your corn up and running and powered up and ready to dance on the main stage of Netflix. I don't know. There's a lot that can come out of this.
Oh, one last question on this, because I know we're stuck on this slide, but I don't know. I mean, user-generated stories. What's not to love?
I know.
Have you guys ever thought about doing even Roblox partnerships or some kind of some kind of mini game inside of Roblox, knowing that Roblox owns 50% of all kids under the age of 15 in the United States, as almost like seeding the excitement for this IP and like maybe crossing over, like getting over some audience. I don't even know if that's possible. I don't know what they own. If you build something there, whether they own the IP.
You heard it here first. Roblox owns children. All right, they own children. 50% of U.S. children under the age of 15, they own them.
They own them.
Yeah.
They do.
But there's some interesting partnerships that you're going to be talking about here in a second. I think that kind of digs into that a little bit, right?
All right, take it away.
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's get past this slide. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So the next thing that we're announcing that I'm pretty excited about is really leaning into kind of Web3 identity and how that should work in the space, and kind of faced with the options of either building on top of an existing protocol or trying to build a siloed identity product ourselves. The focus was on, hey, let's lean on top of or build on top of Lens protocol. So we announced a partnership with Lens protocol. All of our community today.
Very cool.
Go and claim their handles, and then the idea is we will read that handle and build our avatar system on top of it.
Wow.
And so the thing the community's super pumped about is that we've been handing out badges, NFT badges. Some of them are soul-bound, some of them are not, for all kinds of achievements thus far in the community. We had this Summer of Love breeding event that kind of kicked off the initial game itself. We've had the Dark Forest Act 1. We even had a very, very rough launch from a bug perspective. And so we gave everyone that was there for that badge. Said, I survived the launch of crypto unicorns and all I got was a scrum. But the cool thing is those will act like merit badges and get slotted in and give XP to level up your avatar. And it'll be a way to kind of signify who's been here early versus who is new. And then we're going to be tying this, kind of the most exciting piece is we're going to be tying this into our new staking V2 program, which will begin to boost staking rewards for people who are actively playing. The idea ultimately there is to just recognize we want active players, participating in governance and earning staking rewards over people who have just passively staked and are looking to farm.
Wow, that's cool. I have my lens. I got my lens. I got to figure out getting myself a little avatar. My profile. I need to update my profile picture across my socials. So this is a good oppority to do that.
What is your profile photo?
It's a permie. All right. If you attended permissionless and you got yourself a VIP ticket, your VIP ticket came as an NFT. It's a permie. It's a Web 2 tech junkie making a way for themselves in the Web 3 metaverse. Unlocking their ability to look at AR, VR, everything Web3 NFT. So that's the story behind the permies. But
did I get a permie?
I don't know. Did you have a VIP ticket?
I don't know. What ticket did you give me, Brian?
I gave you a general admission ticket, like the plebes. All right, come in the line that wrapped all the way around the corner, like one of the plebes. I know. Next year we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
Anyway,
now we're
moving along.
Yeah, moving along. We're here for Crypto Unicorns, not Becca's inability to secure a permie from Permissionless 2022.
Burn. Wow.
Kind of like we were
Second-party
talking about
partnerships.
before we kicked off live here. A big part of our belief is that we need to, as quickly as possible, onboard external partners to build and expand on the ecosystem and the IP. While we remain focused on kind of the core gameplay roadmap, which is this performance update, questing, jousting, tribes, racing, shadowcorns, that kind of stuff.
We've already gotten a couple questions in the chat about the performance update, so we'll save that for a little bit later, everyone.
I told
Don't worry.
that would be one of the questions. So that's good to hear. The answer is it went into QA on Sunday. So
hey, big announcement.
Yeah, Zesty Beans, my co-founder and our CTO, was hard at work on lining all that up.
All right, good.
All right, so let's go through the series of announcements here.
Yeah, this is really cool. I'm like, all of these, I was looking at this before we hopped on, and it just seems like the scope of where this grows, honestly, like knows almost no bounds, because, and this is the cool thing that Web3 enables, is like, it gives the ability for the metadata for your corn to be available to all these other platforms that are willing to like build a asset in their own ecosystem. And that is just, I don't know. That's just so cool. This unlocks the. I know this isn't like a perfect, like a World of Warcraft level sword showing up in some other game. Like if I'm showing up in my Call of Duty, I get the ability to do that with this type of interface, which is really, really neat. So definitely all in, very excited.
Yeah, one of my earliest ways of pitching crypto unicorns was just around the idea that we're building an arcade in the metaverse, and you bring your corns in and they act as little tokens to play all these arcade games, right? And so you don't have to play all the arcade games, but hopefully you find one or two that you really like. And I mean, to this effect, we're producing Unagachi with the wonderful team at Multiversal Ventures. It is a Tamagotchi-like experience wrapped in a little AI element. So we're actually going to be, as the first version of it is actually just a data collection app, where our community will help effectively train the machine learning algorithm behind these corns so that they'll be able to recognize commands. So you actually turn your webcam on and interact with your corn.
Cool.
Gucci. I am so excited for this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. And once we've done the training, then of course they'll be able to respond to commands, and the Tamagotchi experience layer comes into play. And so checking in on your favorite few corns every day and helping to kind of nurture them is going to get you lined up to receive rewards that you can then take into other game loops. So it really should be a lot of fun. And part of this, each of these is we'll launch MVPs, gauge community reaction and sentiment, and double down on the things that are working, right? And this one I really like because it's very kind of focused on being a fun, whimsical toy.
Yeah. Does this, and you mentioned at the beginning a little bit of the AI element of this. Is there like a world where your unicorns start to learn their get personalities from the way you interact and stuff? Like, is that like is that something that can happen here? If I'm like Gucci gooing and it just turns into like a baby unicorn, or if I'm like sitting there with like I'm rolling up a newspaper and like, you need to get in there and train. They have a little bit of like angst or something.
Have you not played the game? Oh my God, the Gremlin game. Do you guys remember this? It was a PC game.
No.
They shipped every disc with digital DNA. It was like a guy who was studying AI back in like the 90s in the UK created software that was like unique code that shipped with every game, so that depending upon how the user treated it was called Creatures. And you could either you could either lovingly be like, coo, 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 or you could like slap it. And then depending upon how you treated it, it would grow into like a unique creature.
I am going to fall down the weirdest rabbit hole later.
Oh my God, I'm so
figuring
excited
this
for you
out.
to do this. Because that's what this is reminiscent of. So sorry, I hijacked the answer to that question. So please answer that question.
Yeah. Is it going to be as good as this 1990s CD-ROM game called Creatures?
I mean, it sounds like a high bar. We're going to try. We're going to try and clear it.
All right.
I'm stoked about this one, right? And
Yeah.
it leads to you being able to play games like hopscotch and memory with your corn. And the
that's
AI
awesome.
and how well it is trained does affect the outcomes of those scenarios.
That's really cool.
Are we building personalities and emotions yet? No. But
probably better for everyone, because then Skynet will smile like they always do whenever we go this far. Crypto unicorns. It's a much cuter version of Terminator when it's crypto unicorns shooting laser bolts out their eyes, but still just as deadly.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, and again, going back to like NFTs as an extendable platform, like AI will only get better over time. And the idea of layering in upgrades to that over time, I find very interesting. I mean, every single person in the world should have a corn friend that acts as their personal therapist and life coach, right? But, you know, how far is that out? The opening, I don't know.
Yeah. I love
the idea. Moving onward, leveling up to Unicorn Party.
Ooh, all right.
Unicorn Party is in partnership with the wonderful team over at Coda, who is kind of acting as the sub-publisher on this. They build a hyper-casual game platform that over 10,000 developers have utilized across that platform. They've generated over 100 million hyper-casual installs. So they're one of the largest kind of independent hyper-casual publishers in the world. And then the developer on the project is Zabatsu Interactive. And so Unicorn Party draws from my love for Mario Party and the idea of kind of building a series of mini games that are connected together via a shared meta. And so you might, so the two that we've announced are Mob Run, which is kind of a Crowd City IO game where you run your unicorn mob around and try and grow it to the largest possible mob in under 2 minutes against 10 other players in real time.
Wow.
And then my personal favorite, Bumper Corns, which is you and 10 total players on a map that collapses over the course of the game. Loot gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and you're trying to knock your opponents off.
This is very reminiscent of Mario Party. Were you a big Mario Party player when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, on N64.
So my only request is make sure that we don't get the joystick drift that happens because you're sitting here going like this as fast as possible, and you get your blisters. I don't know if you were one of the kids who got this blisters on the hands from rubbing too much on the joystick. That's definitely what my blisters were from, Crypto Unicorn and Play Economy people. But like, just that's my only request. I played a lot of Mario Party growing up.
For sure, we'll put it on. We'll put it on the. I'll make a Jira ticket after this.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're excited about these. They're going to be iOS and Android first and foremost.
Awesome.
And I think a very interesting idea here is to kind of test the waters with, are we seeing kind of free to play players? Because I think that given the strength of the IP, these will rank up and have some organics and things of that nature. Performance from a performance marketing perspective, obviously acquiring hyper casual players is usually much cheaper. And so it's going to be an interesting kind of test to have these quick hit, fun, real-time PvP games in the market.
Yeah.
But the core loop and how we tie it into our economy is obviously you stake RBW and Unim on the entry fees, and those get distributed to the winners. So every single game is moving the economy, given that there's this kind of shared prize pool that gets awarded based on skill to the winner of the match. And so
does this, so if I were, we were talking about this beforehand, and most of the Play Economy audience knows this. So like I have like a bunch of different gamers in my household. Me like AAA, like love everything gaming, and I'll play anything though. We have my wife who plays only solitaire. We have my mother-in-law who plays like Candy Crush. Can she log in and play Mob Run and Bumper Courts? I mean, obviously not now because it's still being developed, but when it comes out without having any RBW or anything, just jump in and start playing. And is that like feasible, or do you have to have like the Web3 element first? So I would have to set up like a MetaMask or whatever for her.
There will be kind of a limited PvE experience where you can play against bots with a grayscale corn. Ultimately, to compete in the tournaments, to rank on the leaderboards, you need the NFT itself.
Got it. Okay.
So it is kind of one of the experiments that I view similarly to like what Sky Mavis is doing with Axie Origin, and this idea of, can you kind of on-ramp a free-to-play audience in once they've once they've engaged. And we also have to be cognizant of kind of the Apple and Google store rules here. So a lot of the crypto side of the experience will be via our website. But again, this gets us out there with iOS and Android titles. And, something that I think will be very interesting, especially when you talk about being competitive in hyper casual, where usually these hyper casual games don't have IP at all. They're meant to kind of be picked up and put down. And one of the trends in that industry is like moving into, I think they call it casual core now or something, where they add deeper meta systems and things of that nature. And I really think bringing in your own NFT and being competitive in these loops is how you extend that kind of hyper casual experience of,
that's awesome.
I've churned through a game in, just a matter of days. Right. Yeah. And then the idea over time is we will add mini games to the Unicorn Party slate based on kind of what the community wants. We're going to let the community vote, for example, on what the third Unicorn Party title ends up being.
Okay, cool.
We're not even halfway through.
I know. Sorry. I know. We've been spending so much time talking about all the. I like to pontificate about the future of player ownership. So sorry, we get lost. We get lost sometimes in the.
No, it's all good. I like going deep on this stuff.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite right now, which is Rainbow Rumble. So we're working with the wonderful Iguana Bee team on this project, and Rainbow Rumble is Fall Guys.
I was about to say, is this Fall Guys? Yeah.
Very much so. So Fall Guys kind of wipeout style game. Again, entry fees in terms of RBW and Unim, a lot more unicorns competing at once, and very few winners, obviously. And so I think it's going to be fun. I want to step this up to more brutal tournaments. So some Squid Game style, like
lose your NFT
if you don't make it. So we will be doing some kind of like permadeath tournaments and things of that nature for the people interested. We can get a little bit more brutal on that front, but
and that opens it up. That opens it up too to like we were talking about this a little bit, but like there is, when you think about IP and like the long lasting games, like League of Legends is a huge game, but it's not just a huge game because like the gameplay is good. It's also a huge game because there's tournaments, there's stuff that surrounds us, there's merch like this, like especially permadeath with your NFT that you've invested in and you poured time in, and then like if you do a broadcasting tournament, like that opens up a huge level of like IP investment where people are not just invested in their own NFT, but like watching someone else compete at the highest levels of Rainbow Rumble, crypto unicorns, death-defying thing. Like that's like a really, really cool way to like really solidify a fan base that isn't necessarily intimately involved in the economy, but involved in the surrounding just IP, which is really, really cool.
Definitely, yeah. With each of these loops, you really only need one unicorn to play. Obviously, these loops will have their energy system, and so you can't just play infinitely with one corn. And if you have a larger stable, you'll obviously be able to play more sessions, and we'll likely have ways to replenish energy for cost and things of that nature. But it is very interesting. Like, the farm sim is a pretty hard. Hey, time travel.
Yeah.
Good to see time travel. Yeah, I can't wait for that. I mean, it'll just be fun. To your point, it'll be Twitchable. It's just going to be something that we can create spectacle around, and each one of these gives us the ability to create a live ops calendar around all of these things. And you may not be willing to compete in the Rainbow Rumble permadeath tournament, but you're in Mob Run, spending 2 hours a day grinding it out to try and win those tournaments and rank up. And it really should be pretty compelling. And what I was going to say is that the farm sim is a hard thing to ramp into. It is meant to be a very complex economic sim. We certainly need to do our part to continue to smooth that on ramp and make new players, make it clear what the early goals are to new players. But generally, each of these games, you just need one corn and you can dive in and start to play this kind of thing, right? Just make sure you don't dive into the permadeath.
Sign up for brutal difficulty. Put all of my love
all in.
Yeah,
exactly. So the last major kind of partnership announcement that we made is around our Team RPG. So Team RPG is kind of like the
Yeah.
capstone of our initial core game roadmap that we
Okay.
launched with, or that we announced with the white paper in last year. And it's such a pivotally important game loop, and something that I really want to build an esports pillar around for us,
Interesting.
that we're actually working with Altitude Games, which happens to be Gabby from YGG Studio in
Yeah.
Oh,
Manila.
cool.
And they're going to be building 2 playable prototypes for us of our Team RPG. The one on the right is the original Auto Chess Auto Battler that was our original design. And the one on the left is the Team RPG Match 3, which is in the vein of Puzzles and Dragons, one of my favorite kind of mobile
That's
Team
wild.
RPGs of all time. And so we'll be play testing these actively with our community, gathering feedback, and ultimately putting it up to a governance vote as to which becomes our initial Team RPG. Obviously, we could probably do both over time, but we want to focus on one. And I think this is one of the really beautiful things about the space, and the idea that you can lean in and really build with your community and ultimately like deliver exactly what they want. I'm very fascinated by that idea of community-led game development. So we're going to be really testing it here with the Team RPG loop.
So all of these, and kind of the overarching theme here is like you have your corn, and there are several different ways that you can play and earn or participate in the ecosystem without necessarily, like, if you're a farm sim buff, like, go all in on the what's out there today. But like, if you like to be competitive, or if you like to potentially lose your corns, like, there's like different ways that you could still compete and be a part of the economy without having to take advantage of each thing. So that's one of the big things that happens, I think, with the play and earn model, is usually there's like one best way to earn the most tokens of whatever it is, and then it becomes a lot less play and earn, and more like, let me earn by playing this game to cash out, to like take something somewhere else. So like, having all of these different opportunities, there are several different ways that you then become able to earn a, not necessarily a living, depending on where you're living in the world, but there is not one way to maximize an outcome, which keeps the game loops going in very, very fun ways. And I don't think Siphon's thing, that's really cool. That is like a really, I love seeing this, because that create those, like you said, those different game loops. That's
and to your point, every corn that's being utilized in these loops can't be out farming, right? So you need more corns overall. And all the corns come off the farm anyway. So anyone engaging in the farm loop and is going to be kind of ahead of the curve in terms of being able to breed and trade and evolve the corns for all of these loops. And so it's interesting. We've seen, over 55,000 breeds to date. We're not even at 2 corns per land plot yet. So we're very, very early in kind of the scale of the unicorn side of the economy. And again, each of these loops come on, it's going to take, you have this trade-off. Who do I keep on the farm? Who do I send up into these battle loops? And I think it's going to be a really compelling way to build out the ecosystem and constantly, like, the farm sim remains the engine of the overall economy, right? And it just adds economic depth. Now I need Unim and RBW if I want to compete in these tournaments and things of that nature. So
nice.
It should be a lot of fun, and is part of our path to sustainability in this space. Is this idea that I think you have to build these pretty large ecosystems. You can't survive on one core loop.
Right. Which is awesome.
Yep.
I mean, we're getting to the end here. This was just kind of a fun one. Something
fun.
that was just such a huge one for us is obviously the Polygon Foundation awarding us a validator node. So that represents, even at today's prices, about 1.3 million a year in kind of passive income to the treasury. We'll be distributing some of those rewards to our players to help cover gas fees, which are already pretty low on Polygon, but we can kind of ensure people have plenty to play and aren't worried and concerned about that kind of stuff. So
it's also good for new entries, people that are just coming in for the first time, that they're like, oh, I have to pay gas fees on doing all of these like chain like related actions. Like, why am I going to pay to potentially not earn enough that I'm paying. Like, I want to, if I'm playing like a free to play game, I need it to be free for me,
Yeah.
like to an extent. So that's really cool, especially for new people getting it. That's awesome.
Yeah, big time. And that's actually the 3 corns there all have the new part set, which got released last week. So people have been breeding and catching the kind of new parts. We now have enough parts to grow into the hundreds of millions of corns, and I think we're good at that point. Should probably never have to add parts again.
There you go.
Cool.
Here's the roadmap. Wow.
This is the roadmap. I wanted to kind of take a step back at the end here, and obviously, the farm launch, Act 1, land vending machine, shadow corn staking, quest jousting tribes, Act 2, Act 3, racing team. There's still a ton of stuff on us on the core team. Obviously, our focus remains on those features. But it's really interesting. I view everything that we're releasing and then all of these second party partners that are coming in and putting out content. Each one of these is a moment to go out, acquire new players, a moment to generate buzz and hype around a unique thing. And then each of these become their own kind of foundation for future live ops and events and things of that nature. And we ultimately hope to kind of attract this very wide community that, again, may not do everything, but is excited about 2 or 3 items here and really gets into them. And I think that if we can get that ecosystem spinning, that flywheel moving, we'll be in a really phenomenal position for sure.
That's awesome. One question, the Unigachi logo, is that the unicorn poop that you have to clean up from the Tamagotchi? Okay, just want to call it. And it actually reminds me, you should, I don't know if you remember the Squatty Potty ads where the unicorn was... This is a perfect opportunity. Yeah. That's there you go. There's Squatty Potty would be a great sponsor or co-sponsor of some tournament somewhere down the road for crypto unicorns. I got 3 of them. Well, I don't have them. I don't have a house anymore, but I had 3 of them in the house before when I had 3 bathrooms. So, if
great for the kids.
If Squatty Potty wants to come on and sponsor the show, we got some great content that we can put out there for you.
I'd be all over that. We can do a Squatty Potty decorator for the farm.
If
all
you're
for it, we'll sell them a sponsorship for
the live tournaments. It shows like them playing on the computers, and underneath everyone's sitting with their feet on a Squatty Potty right next to their
who knows?
computing
it
tower.
It could be the great addition to all these labs chairs and stuff, right? That may be the missing element.
There it is. Never leave your setup. Stay there forever. You're handled anyway.
Forever. I have a question for you about your community, because it seems like you guys have so many updates and obviously some very kind of like committed folks that have been with you for the last year or more. But how do you manage them?
I mean, a huge shout out to our entire community team and wonderful mods. I mean, I think lucked out early on finding the right people on our side who were just going to kind of lean into the madness that can be the day-to-day of managing a real-time 24/7 365 community. A lot of our team comes from gaming, right? And so they kind of have that experience. Universally, this has been different than any Web2 gaming experience. And I think net, it's been incredibly positive relative to the experience of doing customer support and community management in Web2. And then we got lucky here and found some really incredible people that joined our community very early on and have stayed with us through kind of the ups and downs of building this. And it's one of the things that I find really incredible about this space is, you do have, I think, a level of commitment and loyalty that time travel is a perfect example of one of those people. And I mean, you really do build this community around this kind of IP that we all own a part of and care about. And it's one of the things that's really incredible about this space, especially in terms of how it is different from Web2 and the experience there.
Yeah.
You really get a one-to-one connection.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah, big time. And we've been through hard times and we've received a lot of very critical but constructive criticism. And that was a thing too that I feel is different. I can't tell you how many Web2 free-to-play, emails that I've answered where people didn't get something or the game didn't work. And it's just all kind of hate. And I think usually the approach that I've seen with our community is to, here is my frustration, but here is why, and here is specifically what you can do about it. And that's very helpful.
I love that.
That's very helpful. I think a lot about how we're growing our team and how we're structuring our company. And I want to continue to move in a direction where we can kind of respond and very rapidly iterate on community feedback and evolve. Like the whole purpose of this stuff is that, yes, I put out a white paper with my vision and ideas, and things that I pulled from the team about what we wanted to build. But the reality is Crypto Unicorns is going to become whatever the community wants it to be. And the more they embrace that, and I really believe they have, we have nearly 60% of RBW, the circulating supply is staked. And really, just under 50% of that has been voting on every single proposal that we've put forward. So we really have, in a time where so many people either don't have governance at all or are kind of faking governance, I feel we've done a really good job of leaning into the community and letting them take the wheel to a certain extent. And I intend to do that more and more and more over time. I think that is what is special about this space. And it is scary for game devs who are used to basically like keeping community on the outside and showing them maybe a beta or an alpha, right? But ultimately, you know, kind of a finished product. And we started with an MVP. It has been very rough at times, but the community, again, has predominantly stuck with us. I do understand patience and goodwill only last so long, so that's why this performance update is
at least you're not alone. I feel like across the industry, everyone's like, here's this alpha, and then getting to a beta takes way longer than anyone anticipates, and so that kind of stuff is you're not alone.
For sure.
For sure. And I know, so we only have a couple minutes left here. I wanted to give a chance to the audience if they have any specific questions as well. We were going to do some gameplay, but I don't want to waste any time.
I want to do gameplay.
Okay.
Let's do gameplay.
Do like 2 minutes. How about a minute of gameplay? And while you're doing gameplay, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably multitask. Give me a second to sign in over here.
Yeah. Because I think last time I wanted to see gameplay with David, but we couldn't because there was like an update.
Yes. Here we go. Let's see.
Ryan, I think this is like the only time we've ever done gameplay at the end.
I know. Usually we jump right in. We say, fuck the vegetables and jump right into gameplay. But one question from the audience that's jumping up here.
Is a perfect example of some of the pain and hassle that has been the launch for our community members. We have special badges going out for people who've experienced some of these issues.
All right.
But of course, you know, Jackie, I'm sure you've sent in a support request. We've been really good about unsticking things quickly now. So
what a badge name too. Oh, just wild. Look at this. We got a farm full of things.
We really do. I mean, so I'm kind of midway through my progression. Generally, I'm really struggling right now to get my carts and farms and stuff upgraded. This is my flour and candy operation. I'm sure everyone in chat is like, oh my God, those plots are so inefficiently placed. How is he dealing with this? This is my like special morning time, is to come around and kind of collect poop. So obviously, hey, got 3 rainbow seed. Unicorns are eating all kinds of stuff. You might find some really incredible things in poop. Something different every single day. And right now, as you notice, I've got all my workshops running. I am on the booster and golden rope grind big time right now. So right now, building these materials that I need to get to the golden rope to ultimately get my boosters. So I've been all over that. So right now with the farm sim, every day you're coming in collecting berries that you planted the night before. In this case, I didn't have any corns assigned because my corns were in the workshop, right? And it's constantly like this different.
It's always something else with these corns. There's never enough time.
Yeah, exactly. Now here I had a candy corn out, planting candy berries on a flower plot. So the community is probably just like, what
is this?
I know I've been just going crazy since I
blasphemy.
Since oh God, yeah, exactly.
Uncollected gathering carts.
I this morning was all about getting ready for this podcast. Yeah. So there's a gathering cart that I just collected, good source of unim. That we have been tightening. I think about proof of work and the farm sim a lot, and halvenings and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is part of the morning grind: is collect everything. Make sure that my inventory and my corns have enough energy to do the next thing that I need them to do. So today is going to be a return to the workshop for a lot of the
All
corns,
right.
and a heavy focus on making sure that I'm getting ready for boosters with the new parts coming in. This inheritance bug that we fixed last week. I'm going to be out on that grind, looking to get more mythics.
It's really funny because in another life I was a farmer, and this is just gotta get out and do your morning harvesting. Just like what a turn of events in my world, where now I'm just relying on crypto unicorns to do the farming for me.
Exactly.
Well, that is all the time that we have here today. I really appreciate Aaron, you hopping on and talking us through that. I'm really excited about everything you're doing. It's really cool to see these kinds of things. I think some other game developers who are out there, or other builders in the space, can see these types of steps that you are taking, and figure out the right way for them to integrate these types of things into their own game, which is cool. And then also, it's cool to see for new players, like maybe you don't have to have the most efficient farm set up, or you don't always have to collect your cart, all right? Aaron himself is not necessarily doing that. So like, again, this is an entry level thing for anyone. Anyone can get in and start messing around. Yeah. But that's it. I don't know if there's any last thoughts. I guess, Aaron, where can people find you? What can they do? How can they get involved with Crypto Unicorns?
Always an open invite to our Discord. Please join. We have a wonderful community that will certainly help answer questions any time of the day, any day of the week. In addition to that, I'm on Twitter at @abearschmidt. And you can find me mostly liking and retweeting all the things I find interesting on the crypto verse, inside and outside of games. So
yeah, all right. And then make sure, so we're on YouTube. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. Everything YouTube influencers say, I think it's there. It might be there. It could be over here, depending on how you've minimized. But like, smash that subscribe. Make sure to check us out every week on Playconomy, and sometimes twice a week. We are digging into different GameFi games, talking about like what we're doing with Aaron today, talking about how they got into the space all the way through, actually seeing some gameplay, which we got right at the very end. So thank you, everyone, for jumping in. We love you all, each individually and equally. All right, like I tell my kids every night, even though half the time I'm lying. And we'll talk soon.